Okay, chapter 4. Moving along now. Okay, verse 1. Nebuchadnezzar the king, to all peoples, nations, and languages that dwell in all the earth, peace be multiplied to you. I thought it good to declare the signs and wonders that the Most High God has worked for me. How great are his signs, and how mighty his wonders! His kingdom is an everlasting kingdom, and his dominion is from generation to generation. Okay, so he's starting to catch on. Okay, good. Okay, I, Nebuchadnezzar, was at rest in my house and flourishing in my palace. I saw a dream which made me afraid, and the thoughts on my bed and the visions of my head troubled me. Therefore, I issued a decree to bring in all the wise men of Babylon before me, that they might make known to me the interpretation of the dream. Then the magicians, the astrologers, the Chaldeans, and the soothsayers came in, and I told them the dream, but they did not make known to me its interpretation. But at last Daniel came before me. His name is Belteshazzar, according to the name of my God. In him is the spirit of the holy God. And so that's an interesting witness, right? And see, now he tells them the dream and they couldn't even give the interpretation. But Daniel comes along, right? And I told the dream before him, saying, Belteshazzar, chief of the magicians, because I know that the spirit of the holy God is in you, and no secret troubles you, explain to me the visions of my dream that I have seen and its interpretation. These were the visions of my head while on my bed. I was looking, and behold, a tree in the midst of the earth, and its height was great. The tree grew and became strong. Its height reached to the heavens, and it could be seen to the ends of all the earth. Its leaves were lovely, its fruit abundant, and in it was food for all. The beasts of the field found shade under it. The birds of the heavens dwelt in its branches, and all flesh was fed from it. I saw in the visions of my head while on my bed, and there was a watcher, a holy one, coming down from heaven. He cried aloud and said thus, Chop down the tree and cut off its branches, strip off its leaves and scatter its fruit. Let the beasts get out from under it, and the birds from its branches. Nevertheless, leave the stump and roots in the earth, bound with a band of iron and bronze. In the tender grass of the field, let it be wet with the dew of heaven, and let him graze with the beasts on the grass of the earth. Let his heart be changed from that of a man. Let him be given the heart of a beast. And let 7 times pass over him. Okay? This decision is by the decree of the watchers, and the sentence by the word of the holy ones, in order that the living may know that the Most High rules in the kingdom of men, gives it to whomever he will, and sets over it the lowest of men. This dream I, King Nebuchadnezzar, have seen. Now you, Belteshazzar, declare its interpretation, since all the wise men of my kingdom are not able to make known to me the interpretation, but you are able, for the spirit of the holy God is in you. Okay, and I'll take a little breather here and just say, like, some people might think this is a contradiction to what's in Matthew and Luke 4, but I'm going to make a picture here. So, okay, I got to move this more. All right. Now here, this will help. Many people don't get it. Okay, so let's say this, I know, just this is God, okay? Then down here we have the devil. And then we have okay, I'm gonna have to make this littler. Yeah. We have the earth, okay, just part of it. This is where I'm going to lose all the flat earthers out there. Don't even get me on that. Don't get me started. Okay, so here we have this system, and then here we have the people. Okay, here people. And now, it's like this. It's like he does exert control and give to whomever he wills, kingdoms and whatever. But ultimately, above him, God is in ultimate, total, complete control. Like he's really over it all and sovereign that way. But he allows things to happen, just like man has free will. It's allowed, okay? And there's a purpose in all this. It might, he uses evil for good. So there's a purpose in all this. So ultimately, it's him pulling the strings. That's the highest level. This is, the other level, and that's mentioned in the Bible. I think it's Ezekiel 28 and Isaiah 14, or the other way around, okay, with the numbers and the prophets, but it talks about that. So this is the other level, and it is temporary, okay? Later, when Jesus returns, all this goes away, and it's the under new management sign is hanging up. But that's the whole, like, dynamic here, the structure of this all. And anyway, so that's how it works. Okay, now back to Daniel. I just want people to understand these things. There's just so many details that people get confused by. And I don't mind stopping the car and talking about this stuff. Okay, now back to this. All right, Daniel explains the second dream. That's where we were. Then Daniel, whose name was Belteshazzar, was astonished for a time, and his thoughts troubled him. So the king spoke and said, Belteshazzar, do not let the dream or its interpretation trouble you. Belteshazzar answered and said, My lord, may the dream concern those who hate you, and its interpretation concern your enemies. The tree that you saw, which grew and became strong, whose height reached to the heavens, and which could be seen by all the earth, whose leaves were lovely, and its fruit abundant, in which was food for all, under which the beasts of the field dwelt, and in whose branches the birds of the heaven had their home. It is you, O king, who have grown and become strong, for your greatness has grown and reaches to the heavens, and your dominion to the end of the earth. Okay, so it was his empire, like these were the blessings of it. Okay, 23. It really was big at the time. 23. And inasmuch as the king saw a watcher, a holy one, coming down from heaven and saying, Chop down the tree and destroy it, but leave its stump and roots in the earth, bound with a band of iron and bronze in the tender grass of the field. Let it be wet with the dew of heaven, and let him graze with the beasts of the field, till 7 times pass over him. This is the interpretation, O king, and this is the decree of the Most High, which has come upon my lord the king. They shall drive you from men. Your dwelling shall be with the beasts of the field, and they shall make you eat grass like oxen. They shall wet you with the dew of heaven, and 7 times shall pass over you, till you know that the Most High rules in the kingdom of men and gives it to whomever he chooses. So this was a lesson to him because, his ego had gotten the better of him and kind of outgrew everything else, and he had to beat that down a bit, and this is how he was going to do it. Okay, so 26. And inasmuch as they gave the command to leave the stump and roots of the tree, your kingdom shall be assured to you after you come to know that heaven rules. Therefore, O king, let my advice be acceptable to you. Break off your sins by being righteous, and your iniquities by showing mercy to the poor. Oh, look at that. I forgot that's in there. Wow. Perhaps there may be a lengthening of your prosperity. Okay, so, after all that golden statue and all the threats, and, so he had a punishment coming here, and that's what it was. Okay. All this came upon King Nebuchadnezzar. At the end of the 12 months, he was walking about the royal palace of Babylon. The king spoke, saying, Is not this great Babylon? Here we go. Is not this great Babylon that I have built for a royal dwelling by my mighty power, and for the honor of my majesty? Here we go. 31. While the word was still in the king's mouth, a voice fell from heaven, King Nebuchadnezzar, to you it is spoken, the kingdom has departed from you, and they shall drive you from men, and your dwelling shall be with the beasts of the field. They shall make you eat grass like oxen, and 7 times shall pass over you, until you know that the Most High rules in the kingdom of men and gives it to whomever he chooses. So till he acknowledges God, okay? That very hour the word was fulfilled concerning Nebuchadnezzar. He was driven from men and ate grass like oxen. His body was wet with the dew of heaven, till his hair had grown like eagle's feathers, and his nails like birds' claws. Okay. 24. And at the end of the time, I, Nebuchadnezzar, lifted my eyes to heaven, and my understanding returned to me, and I blessed the Most High, and praised and honored him who lives forever. Okay, so a little lesson in humility was the order of the day. For his dominion is an everlasting dominion, and his kingdom is from generation to generation. All the inhabitants of the earth are reputed as nothing. He does according to his will in the army of heaven and among the inhabitants of the earth. No one can restrain his hand or say to him, What have you done? At the same time, my reason returned to me, and for the glory of my kingdom, my honor and splendor returned to me. My counselors and nobles resorted to me. I was restored to my kingdom, and excellent majesty was added to me. Now I, Nebuchadnezzar, praise and extol and honor the King of heaven, all of whose works are truth and his ways justice. And those who walk in pride he is able to put down. Okay, so that's the nugget of the whole thing right there. All right. And this is nice that, he really acknowledges God and gives him the glory and has this testimony. I mean, many have said he may be in heaven because he turned to God, depending on if he really, did that. But all right, let's see, 14. All right, so I'll keep rolling here. Belteshazzar. Oh, whoops. Nope. Got to clear that up. Okay, so Belteshazzar was the name they gave to Daniel. I think this is the last we hear of Nebuchadnezzar up there. So then we get other kings in succession here. So, so next one is this guy Belshazzar, the king. So he all of a sudden he shows up. He pops up. That's it. All we know is he's there. Belshazzar the king made a great feast for 1,000 of his lords and drank wine in the presence of the 1,000. While he tasted the wine, Belshazzar gave the command to bring the gold and silver vessels which his father Nebuchadnezzar had taken from the temple which had been in Jerusalem, and the king and his lords, his wives, and his concubines might that the king and his lords, his wives, and his concubines might drink from them. Then they brought the gold vessels that had been taken from the temple of the house of God, which had been in Jerusalem. And the king and his lords, his wives, and his concubines drank from them. They drank wine and praised the gods of gold and silver, bronze and iron, wood and stone. So I don't know if those were idols or if they were just praising gold. Some people do that. Anyway, but here, they're treating this in a common way and even in a profane way. So, okay, 5. In the same hour, the fingers of a man's hand appeared and wrote opposite the lampstand on the plaster of the wall of the king's palace. And the king saw the part of the hand that wrote. Then the king's countenance changed, and his thoughts troubled him, so that the joints of his hips were loosened and his knees knocked against each other. He really had knocking knees, literally. Wow. The king cried aloud to bring in the astrologers, the Chaldeans, and the soothsayers. The king spoke, saying to the wise men of Babylon, whoever reads this writing and tells me its interpretation shall be clothed with purple and have a chain of gold around his neck, and he shall be the third ruler in the kingdom. Now all the king's wise men came, but they could not read the writing or make known to the king its interpretation. Then King Belshazzar was greatly troubled. His countenance was changed, and his lords were astonished. That would freak anybody out, right? They're in the middle of this party, just all that, and then all of a sudden, this hand shows up and there's writing on the wall. And that's it, and it disappears, and he doesn't know what it means. Okay, 10. The queen, because of the words of the king and his lords, came to the banquet hall. The queen spoke, saying, O king, live forever. Do not let your thoughts trouble you, nor let your countenance change. There is a man in your kingdom in whom is the spirit of the holy God. And in the days of your father, light and understanding and wisdom, like the wisdom of the gods, were found in him. And King Nebuchadnezzar, your father the king, made him chief of the magicians, astrologers, Chaldeans, and soothsayers. Inasmuch as an excellent spirit, knowledge, understanding, interpreting dreams, solving riddles, and explaining enigmas were found in this Daniel, whom the king named Belteshazzar. Now let Daniel be called, and he will give the interpretation. Okay, so what I found interesting is how long has this Belshazzar been there? And he hasn't even so much as heard of Daniel yet. He doesn't even know about him. He was in a totally different place, and he didn't regard this kind of thing at all, and he didn't even, wasn't even aware because of it. And his wife had to bring it to his attention. By the way, there's a God-fearing man who knows something. He can help you and tell you what this means. So, anyway, 13. Then Daniel was brought in before the king. The king spoke and said to Daniel, Are you that Daniel who is one of the captives from Judah, whom my father the king brought from Judah? I have heard of you, that the Spirit of God is in you, and that light and understanding and excellent wisdom are found in you. Now the wise men, the astrologers, have been brought in before me, that they should read this writing and make known to me its interpretation. But they could not give the interpretation of the thing. And I have heard of you that you can give interpretations and explain enigmas. Now, if you can read the writing and make known to me its interpretation, you shall be clothed with purple and have a chain of gold around your neck, and shall be the third ruler in the kingdom. I gotta move this, hold on. Okay. Then Daniel answered and said before the king, let your gifts be for yourself, and give your rewards to another. Yet I will read the writing to the king and make known to him the interpretation. Okay, before I move on, some people might find it interesting that he rejects all that, but knowing what you know at a certain age, having seen so much, I would have done the exact same thing. It's kind of like there's always a string attached to these things. And, he might have, next time there's a ceremony, he might have been called to it as well. And this way, he's not, The more ties you have to the things like that, the more trouble you get yourself into. So he, I'm sure, was aware of this, and that's why he refused all that. Yeah, I'm thinking, but anyway, okay. And he's probably much older by now. I don't know, but I didn't look up the years of the possibilities of when this was. But okay, 18. O King, the Most High God gave Nebuchadnezzar, your father, a kingdom and majesty, glory, and honor. And because of the majesty that he gave him, all peoples, nations, and languages trembled and feared before him. Whomever he wished, he executed. Whomever he wished, he kept alive. Whomever he wished, he set up. And whomever he wished, he put down. But when his heart was lifted up, and his spirit was hardened in pride, he was deposed from his kingly throne, and they took his glory from him. Then he was driven from the sons of men. His heart was made like the beasts, and his dwelling was with the wild donkeys. They fed him with grass like oxen, and his body was wet with the dew of heaven, till he knew that the Most High God rules in the kingdom of men, and appoints over it whomever he chooses. But you, his son, Belshazzar, have not humbled your heart, although you knew all this. Oh, that's why Daniel wasn't ever consulted or anything. Okay, so, and you have lifted yourself up against the Lord of heaven. I mean, look what he just did with all the utensils. Just totally contemptuous, right? So, at least Nebuchadnezzar learned his lesson. That's the result of pride. Like the Bible says, pride goes before a fall. And the greatest example of this is the devil. So that's in those two chapters I mentioned, Isaiah 14 and Ezekiel 28. Or the other way around. I have to look that up again. But those are the names and those are the numbers. That's all I know. Okay. All right. They have brought the vessels of his house before you, and you and your lords, your wives, and your concubines have drunk wine from them, and you have praised the gods of silver and gold, bronze and iron, wood and stone, which do not see or hear or know, and the God who holds your breath in his hand and owns all your ways, you have not glorified. Then, and he should have known better, he had the witness of all this stuff with Nebuchadnezzar. 24. Then the fingers of the hand were sent from him, and this writing was written. And this is the inscription that was written. And here it has it. Mene, mene, tekel, Farsin. This is the interpretation of each word. Mene. God has numbered your kingdom and finished it. And that shows up 2 times. Tekel. You have been weighed in the balances and found wanting. So you didn't measure up. This is Tekel. Perez. Your kingdom has been divided and given to the Medes and Persians. See, that's what happened then after that. 29. Then Belshazzar. So anyway, that's the end of it. Like, this must be that, that his kingdom will be given to them. Okay, then 29. Then Belshazzar gave the command, and they clothed Daniel with purple and put a chain of gold around his neck, and made a proclamation concerning him that he should be the 3rd ruler in the kingdom. Okay, well, a lot of good that'll do. It's going to disappear anyway. But, these things are very nerve-wracking, because you never know if this guy's going to all of a sudden lose his head and want to kill the messenger because of the message, and that happens. Not like that doesn't happen, right? So anyway, so that's interesting. And he rewarded him anyway. I don't know, but okay. So, kingdom didn't last very long, because here it is. 30. That very night, Belshazzar, king of the Chaldeans, was slain. And Darius the Mede received the kingdom, being about 62 years old. Okay, so that's the Darius that comes up in later on when I talk about all that. So 6 is its own thing. So I'm gonna make a new video for 6. And yeah, let me see here. There's so many interesting different things that come up in Daniel. It really heats up when it gets into the prophecy part, and that's coming shortly here. But 6 is really good too. So I'll be right back.